Hello, everyone. I hope that you are doing well. This is Victoria Matea, also known as the Mom Care Coach. So happy to see you if you're on YouTube and to speak to you if you are on the podcast. Today, we are going to talk all about sleep. So I hope that you are enjoying this episode. I know we just got started. If you are a longtime listener, thank you so much for being here. And if this is your first time joining us today, thank you so much for checking us out. And I hope that this is something that blesses you and encourages you. And if it does, please download and share with those around you, other autism moms that would love to hear some encouragement, that would love to help them something to help them with their own self-care journey, because we are all on a journey and it's all a little bit different. So today we are going to talk about sleep. And our one big idea is that you can get good sleep. You can stay asleep, get to sleep, and get up in a timely manner. But it does often take a little bit of work and practice. So that's a mouthful, I know. But the thing is that we're all different. We're all on different journeys and we are all in different health positions as well. And there's a lot of different things that can affect our sleep. It is not a one size fit all. And there's different areas that can be a little bit more complicated, or at least feel a little bit more complicated. So we are not going to talk about every aspect when it comes to getting sleep today, but we are going to talk about a few key factors that can be beneficial to you as you are trying to navigate, if you are trying to navigate a season of difficulty with sleep. So I'll give you a little bit of background for myself. For me, I have always been, from the time I was a child, a person that enjoyed having 9 hours of sleep. And I just always loved my sleep. Now, after having children, of course, there were a lot of different changes, but it wasn't until um, I started to see some patterns, especially with my oldest child. He has a diagnosis of autism level 3. And I noticed some difficulties with him getting asleep and staying asleep. And if you have a child with difficulties, especially when it comes to sleep, you know how does not just affect them, it affects you as well as autism mama. And then also sometimes it can affect the entire family. And that is what has happened in my family. I have always loved to get sleep. However, because of that hypervigilance part of being an autism mom, I want to allow myself to sleep, but sometimes there's fears and hesitancies because my son, my oldest son, would often get to sleep, but he wouldn't stay asleep. And throughout his childhood, he would get up, he would play, he'd sometimes even go outside. And of course, you can imagine how scary that would be for a mom. And so I always kind of had to sleep with one eye open. And then when I finally got to sleep, I had a difficulty allowing myself to stay asleep. And so it's actually affected my other son as well. He loves sleep, but because of we are always trying to make sure that his brother is safe, even though that's not his responsibility, sometimes kids, they can sense things and they want to help out too. And so because of that, he now has to work on his sleep hygiene. And we were actually reading, because we homeschool, we were actually reading a health book on how we can improve our sleep. It's the funniest thing, but it's true. And so what we are learning is it's really lovely to be able to see him really take care of his own health and his own self-care and be aware of his own physical, emotional, spiritual needs. And so we were talking about sleep today. And so I thought I would just kind of share a little bit with you. Now, these are some tips that I have given before, but since I am technically in a season right now where my oldest child is still struggling with sleep. He had gotten a little bit better. We had tried a few different things that kind of helped, and now it kind of got a little bit askew again. Weather affects him as well. And so I'm going to give you a few tips because those same tips are things that I'm working with for myself. So let's talk about it. Number one, cutting off screens, meaning like turning them off at least an hour before we go to sleep. Now, I know that can be challenging, maybe if you have work commitments or if you feel like that's your time to kind of scroll and kind of just relax. There's no scientific proof that actually says that scrolling is relaxing or even being on screens is relaxing. So we do, if we're wanting to work on our sleep and we're serious about it, we want to be aware that turning off screens at least an hour before is very, very beneficial. Now, again, these are different tips and they all can work synergistically together. And I have not found just one to work all by itself. It is a process and it kind of layers on top of each other. So tip number two, finishing a meal 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, but I'm going to say 3 hours is best before it's time to go to bed. So if your desire is to be in bed by 9:30, then you want to have completed your meal by 6:30 in the evening. The reason why is because when you are trying to get to sleep, you don't want your body to be working to digest your food. And that's what can happen if we are eating too close to the time. It's time to go to bed. Our body will still be in the process of it digesting, and so it can't get the deeper layers of sleep, like REM sleep. And we want to be able to have the deeper layers because that is the time that our body will detoxify itself. It can detoxify and repair our brain, our body, our organs, our blood. And that's really, really powerful and important. That is how our body was meant to help itself. It's one of the ways. So, number three, we want to be able to find ways of relaxing. So that can mean reading a book, taking a hot bath, an eel scrub down. I've mentioned that before. It's like filling your sink up with really, really hot water, hot as you can stand it, with a washcloth, putting a drop of two essential oils in there, a relaxing one like Roman chamomile or lavender. Patchouli can be very relaxing for people. So you choose what works in your body. Again, we're all different. And then a couple drops of your favorite liquid soap. And then you take the towel and you put it in the hot water and you wring it out and you will start at like your shoulder area and you will scrub your entire body for nice amount of pressure, not too hard, but not too soft. And it helps to stimulate a calmness in the body, just that physical massage pressure as you are cleaning your body, it's relaxing your body as well. So that's one option. That's an option that can be available to you when you are short on time. So you can do that, in the day or in the evening, but it works really well for the evening. So relaxing things you can do. So the eel scrub down or a bath, massage, giving yourself a hair massage, face massage, that is very relaxing. Um, so many different things that we can do that can actually put us in a state of calm. Reading calming books, journaling, affirmations, praying, these are all very calming things that can be an option. Now, of course, what I think is calming may be a little bit different than what you think is calming. You can kind of like write out a couple of different options that will work for you that may be calming to help you. And again, this is a layering process. We talked about screens, we talked about calming activities. We talked about when we finish our meals. We also want to talk about for number four, making sure that you're not drinking water after you've completed your meal. Now, if you are a person that likes to have like a cup of tea before bed, you could have that. Um, I guess it depends on your body. I'm going to still say stick to that 3 hour rule. However, if it is not a problem for you, maybe just 2 hours. Like you finish your meal. It's like hypothetically, you want to be in bed by 9:30, then you finish your meal by 6:30, and then a little after that, maybe before 7:30, you have completed your cup of tea or you've taken your last supplements or whatever it is. If you're going to be drinking a lot of water, you want to do that earlier in the day. The reason why is because you don't want to be, once you finally get to sleep, have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So this is just, a precaution to help you. The next thing when it comes to needing to get enough sleep. So number five, I'm going to use it more as a category of preparation. So the preparation could be having the room cool enough. You don't want to have a hot room because that can make it difficult to go to sleep and to stay asleep. You want to have the temperature between 68 degrees to 72 degrees. And the 72 is probably a little bit warm for some people, but 68 to 69 degrees is usually the temperature that they recommend to keep your room year round. So that's a part of preparation. Also making sure the room is dark, putting like blackout curtains, or now they even have like curtains that you can kind of stick up on your windows to help with sleep. Also, when it comes to sleep, having breathable pajamas. Now there's pajamas that are actually cooling to help keep that temperature for your body so you don't get overheated. Really, really important, especially as we get older. We are aware that we're wanting to keep our bodies cool. Now, let's transition, since we talked about 5 tips, let's transition a little bit and talk about what could make you wake up in the middle of the night. Number one, actually, what could actually be affecting the ability to be able to get good quality sleep is your blood sugar. So, as you know, insulin is a hormone. And if you are in the season of perimenopause or after, then you are very aware how your body can have shifting hormones throughout the day. And so because your body is having hormones that can kind of shift, it's really important to make sure that you are insulin sensitive. If you are not insulin sensitive, you should be working with a practitioner, or if you are working with a coach or someone to help you to get to insulin sensitivity so that you are not insulin resistant. Insulin resistant means that your body isn't able to use the insulin in appropriate ways. And there can be all different kinds of complications for your blood sugar going up too high. It can affect sleep. It can also affect, causes lots of inflammation in the body that can cause pain and other different ailments that is directly correlated to the fact that your insulin levels are out of control and you're having all these different spikes. So one of the main things that really helps with getting insulin sensitivity under control is our diet, making sure that we're having enough protein, drinking enough water, having the right supplements for our body. And of course, if you're needing more help in that area, looking for a nutritionist or practitioner to help with that. As I mentioned last time, I do have some openings for coaching for people that are looking to know about, like, what should I do? Is there a particular bundle that's going to help me get certain vitamins? in my body. There's a lot of food noise out there. What should I actually be eating? How many times should I be eating? What and how do I get that in my body? At what times or certain times that helps? So there's a lot that goes into becoming more insulin sensitive, but for the needs of this episode, we're really wanting to focus on having an understanding that our ability to be insulin sensitive can actually affect how well we are able to sleep. So it's really important to prioritize the sleep hygiene. It's not enough to just be calm. Once we actually get to sleep by the first few tips, we want to be able to maximize our time and to actually stay asleep. And that is how we are able to have good quality sleep. Because how the sleep patterns work is that you go to sleep, but you don't immediately go into REM sleep. It takes a little while to go into REM sleep. So if you are constantly waking up or you're constantly turning, tossing and turning and having different things that's affecting you to get to sleep and then get to the deeper qualities or the deeper layers of sleep, then it's going to be difficult for you to be able to benefit from the body's ability to repair and to detoxify, which is, like we mentioned before, so important. So also, what about like making sure that you have the right pillows and the blankets and the mattress? All of that affects our ability to stay asleep as well. And all of these kinds of tips are things that, you probably may be thinking about, but maybe you're not always thinking about. It's really important to kind of look at the whole picture. Okay, so now we want to transition a little bit again, and now we want to talk about what can help us to stay asleep the entire night. We are not talking about the outside factors, meaning like I started with the story of, well, I had difficulty getting to sleep and staying asleep because my son would get up throughout the night. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what we can do to help us. And so we're going to end with talking about how we can support our children with their sleep. Now, we don't really go into deep with them because they already have the therapists, the practitioners, the doctors, all of that. This podcast is all about self-care for you. But if you are also in a season where you're supporting your child, are there some tips that we can help them with? Okay, so now we want to talk about mindset. Because when we are trying to get good quality sleep, working on our sleep hygiene, there's a few things that we are wanting to do and wanting to not do. Number one, we are not wanting to listen to things that can get us overly stimulated, like loud music that could be overstimulating. Maybe the lyrics are maybe negative or anything like that, because that can affect, even if we listen to it earlier in the day, if we're listening to negative lyrics, then that may be something that we're thinking about when we actually lay down, because we finally come to a time in the day where it's more calm, hopefully, right? So that's one thing. We are not wanting to watch, and this is just my personal opinion, but there is research to show that the mind can stay kind of active after we've laid down, and that is difficult for a lot of people when they're trying to sleep. And some of it, not all of it, everybody's different. There's different things going on in our bodies and minds and everything in lives. But some of it can be the result of what we have watched. Like if you've watched scary movies or some kind of mystery that's really super intriguing and fast-paced with lots of action in it right before bed, it can affect how you're able to sleep because you're going to be thinking about those things, right? So what we are, listening to, what we're watching, And then also the last thing has to do with what we are saying. Are we being negative towards other people? Are we surrounding ourselves with negative people? Are we scrolling and watching comments or videos of people that are saying negative things? All of those things can actually affect your sleep because they can affect your life and they can affect how you think, how you process, what you believe, what you allow into your life. Each day, the choices that we make can create us to become who our future self is going to be. So we want to be making choices that are encouraging, and we were wanting to be able to make promises to ourselves and keep those promises. And each time we make a promise to ourselves, like, okay, I am going to have that healthy meal. I'm going to go for that walk after I have eaten. I am going to take my supplements. I'm going to make sure I get enough protein. I am going to do the EO scrub down. I am going to listen to calming music before bed. Each time we do any of those things, it's like putting coins in our future self-care bank. It's like taking care of ourselves so that in the future, you will be able to look up and you have become someone that you are proud of and that you can be confident in. Confidence is earned. I always say that. It is not something that is freely given. It is not just waking up and feeling confident. It is not just having that passed on to you by your family. It's something that is earned by the choices that you make right now, today. And so, if you are looking for a future self that is strong and healthy, then you do have to work on your sleep hygiene. If you're looking for a future self that is able to be mobile and move easily and low inflammation, then you have to work on movement right now and nutrition right now because none of those things happen overnight, right? So So it's really important for us to prepare for the person that we are hoping to become in the future. And right before we end, I do want to make a couple announcements. Number one, you may have noticed that the podcast episodes, the days have been changing. I've been trying to look and see which ones work for different people's schedules. I often will look at the analytics to see which days and times of uploading is the most beneficial for different people. If you have a particular time, go ahead and you can comment and you can email me whenever you have something that you would like pertinent to say to me. But also, I'm thinking we're going to switch gears a little bit. It's going to be like Mondays and Thursdays, which are not ones that we have been doing thus far, but that is where we're wanting to kind of lean towards. We've also mentioned that there is going to be a podcast title change. And we are still in the works of doing that. I'm still working on it will be a new, intro and a new exit. And so those are things that you're going to be looking forward to. I do want to mention it a few times so you don't get confused and you don't think the podcast has disappeared because I think that that's really important for you to understand. So we are going to be changing things up. The actual material is going to always be the same, but the title, like I mentioned before, is called Mindful Wellness for Autism Moms, just so that it becomes easier for autism moms to be able to find us in the whole lineup. The Mom Care Coach, I absolutely love it. I love the title. The Facebook group is going to keep the title of the Mom Care Coach. And it's still, you'll still see the mom care coach in a lot of different areas, but the actual podcast we are changing so that it's easier, so that it pops up for people that are looking specific for autism moms that are looking for self-care. Now, I did mention I was going to touch on how we can help our children. When it comes to our children, like I said before, I generally leave that in the hands of the educated practitioners that you are already seeking. And so the biggest thing that a lot of times that our children can benefit from is watching us and seeing how we are supporting ourselves and what we are doing to help ourselves. And of course, a lot of the tips that we talk about are also very beneficial for them. But I don't generally give a lot of advice specific to only children that are on the autism spectrum, simply because I know everybody's different and you're seeing different therapists, some alternative, some um, general that you will see for specific autism. And so those are kinds of things that I kind of lead in those hands. However, I'm not against talking about like nutrition and different things like that when it comes to kids, but for the most part, I leave it to the experts for that so that we can just focus on being amazing autism moms. So I hope that this episode was beneficial to you, helpful for you. You're able to share it with others and download it. And I look forward to speaking with you next time. And if you are a person that's looking for health bundles, skincare, and nutrition, and you're wanting to have a little bit of advice on that, if you're looking for coaching, please email me and then we can set up a time to chat. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to speaking with you next time, and take good care. Bye-bye.